everyone, it's Candice from Everyday Better, and on this episode of Move, Recover and Thrive, we are talking about caffeine. Caffeine is one of my top 3 supplements of all time. It's consistently been proven to be the most beneficial pre-workout supplement that you can take. The reason for that is it decreases what we call the rate of perceived exertion. So if you think you're doing a 10 out of 10 maximum effort without caffeine, if you had caffeine before, that actually reduces it down to an 8 or 9 out of 10, which means that you can push a little bit harder in your training session. Over a long period of time, being able to push a little bit harder means that your adaptations will be stronger and greater. So you'll basically be able to get stronger a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. Same with cardiovascular endurance. It also helps the body use fat oxidation, so use fat as an energy source. That does not mean that you're going to lose weight faster. Fat loss and fat oxidation are 2 very different things, but we'll talk about in a different podcast. But the other thing about caffeine, which is not so great, is that it's unfortunately not magical. It is just a really great imitator. So the way it works in the brain is when you use energy, whether that's thinking, moving, any kind of energy source, adenosine builds up in your brain. As adenosine slowly builds up, your body is signaled to vasodilate, open the veins and arteries and let more oxygen in. And this primes your body for a really good deep sleep. The thing that caffeine does is that it imitates exactly how adenosine looks on the brain. It doesn't get rid of adenosine. So you have a shot of caffeine, like an espresso or a large coffee, and caffeine blocks all the adenosine receptors. In the background, adenosine is still building up, and this is like the sleepy chemical. So as it slowly builds up in the background, your body is actually getting tired, but your brain doesn't recognize it. And then when the half-life of caffeine drops off, suddenly the brain is filled and flooded with adenosine, and that is the familiar feeling of the 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. crash that people often have. And that's because caffeine has a half-life of about 5 or 6 hours. So it means if you have a shot of coffee in the morning at say 9 o'clock, by 6 hours later, 3 o'clock, half of that would have worn off. But your brain doesn't realize it until that 3 o'clock time when all the adenosine comes flooding in. So that is why timing is really critical with caffeine. The reason why you don't want to have it late in the day is because the half-life is 5 or 6 hours. So if you have it at 9 o'clock, then say 200 milligrams, which is a large coffee, then 6 hours later, 3 p.m., still half of that coffee shot will be going around in your body. So that's 100 milligrams. But the really important part is that a quarter life, which is another 5 or 6 hours onwards, would still have 50 milligrams of caffeine going around in your body. So that will be like at 9 o'clock at night, you've just had an espresso shot. That's if you have a morning coffee. Imagine if you have that in the afternoon. Your great evening, early morning sleep is disrupted, and your brain can't have the lymphatic wash and it can't have a clear out. So 3 things to remember with caffeine. 1, it is great pre-workout, and it does mean that you can train harder for a little bit longer. 2, timing is critical with caffeine. If you want to have caffeine, and I'm not recommending that anyone stops caffeine, just be careful about your timing. If you do have it in the morning. The 3rd thing with the timing is don't have it too early. So give yourself 90 minutes after waking up to let all of the adenosine flush out of your brain. So all of the leftover adenosine from the night before and from your sleep, let it flush out. Because if you don't and you have your coffee too early, that guarantees a 2 or 3 p.m. crash, which almost guarantees that you're going to have another coffee and you'll enter back into that cycle, which all over adds up to you not being able to have a really great sleep that allows your body to clear out and get ready for the new day. So that's our take on caffeine. It can be great Just make sure that your dosing and your timing is in the right place.